Never tell when you can ask. How is that motto consistent with the discussion teaching method?
You're not there to learn other people, right? It's for them. So you calling that learning out is the point.
Try to have that motto. If you have that mindset, the temptation to lecture will be lessened. In a perfect setting, you're not going to tell them something unless they just can't come up with the answer. Like if you say, okay, who knows the Greek word for gospel? Silence. Tell them. Make sense? So never tell when you can ask. That would be a good motto. Number 3, why is it a good discipline to write out all discussion questions in advance?
Because you're never going to remember them all when you're sitting there.
That's one good reason. You're never going to remember them all.
And it saves time for you to ask questions rather than thinking about what to ask.
Yeah.
Since it's not a lecture, you're not going point 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, you are guiding it, but there could be questions that tend to take it down a different road.
Yes.
You could get lost real easy.
So it pulls you back. That's good.
You're trying to be strategic in what to teach them, but again, it's a discussion.
So it's a led discussion. It's like a guided missile or a cowboy corralling cattle in a certain direction. You're leading a discussion. You're shaping how they think. That's what you do.
I think writing it down also makes you think through how you're going to say it to somebody a little bit more. I can't tell you how many questions I've gone back and just crossed out because I'm like, yeah, that's too complicated. Nobody's going to get that.
That's right. It's been said the weakest ink is better than the strongest memory. So back to what Jeff said. It's really difficult to come up with good questions on the fly. And this is a good discipline to have. Your questions will be of a higher caliber. And it helps me study. What I do when I study is I look at the passage and I write down every question that comes to my mind about it. And then my study is answering all those same questions. So it helps me to prepare in the first place. And then, of course, I got to go back and revise the questions and make them decent. Number 4, why is it helpful to imagine how people will respond to a question and then revise the question if necessary?
I think that's a skill that is going to take time to know your people.
It assumes you know the people you're teaching.
Know your audience.
And that's right. If you never taught them before, that's harder. But if you know them, you should be able to imagine what Joe's going to say. And if you don't like what you hear him say, you need to change the question or delete it.
And it stops you from chasing those rabbits, right? Because if you can imagine, oh, well, he's going to ask this, and then he's going to ask this, and then you can kind of nip it in the bud.
That's right. You don't go down that road. Another good thing is you imagine how he's answering, and then you formulate your next question based on what you think he's going to answer, and then you're more prepared. He's not going to use your words. So you know what you're going to ask next, but if you can take the words he said and put them into your question, people like to hear their own answer said back. It really gets them excited, more excited, like you're really listening to them. So you can tweak your pre-existing question very easily when you anticipate what he's going to say. So just take the time to do that. When I'm teaching and things don't go as I had wished they did, thinking I might teach this passage again someday, I always save my questions, but I'll go through and, boy, that was a stinky question. I'll cross it out and rewrite it so the next time not like Custer at Little Bighorn, I don't get wiped out by it. It happens.